So now I'm ready for some additional details. So additional details that I might want to add might be clouds, for example. And again, I can go back to that curve tool and very simply and easily, I can just create some shapes on here. Some nice curvy shapes. There we go. Connect the two ends together to make it a complete shape. And then I can fill that in white. So I can go ahead and draw some clouds. I've got a finished one here with some clouds on it. Now, since clouds are slightly transparent, you might want to make these clouds a little bit transparent. And you can easily do that. Simply select one of your clouds, right-click on it, and go down here to Format, Auto Shape. And you can see there's a transparency option. I wouldn't make them too transparent, but let's try 20%, for example. You can click on Preview to try it out. Actually, that looks just about perfect, so 20% looks good. Now, if I want to do this really quickly, by holding down the Control key while I click on each cloud, I can highlight multiple objects at one time, right-click on one of them, go down to that Format, Auto Shape, and I can actually key in, so just type in 20%, click OK, and now I've made them all transparent at the same time. Now to complete that illusion, that black line around it I don't think looks very good, so I'm going to hold down Control, I'm going to highlight all of the clouds, and down here on my drawing toolbar I'm going to go to the line color, and I'm going to select No Line. That definitely looks a whole lot better. So we're getting there. So now that I've finished my drawing, I want to group the planet together. I'm going to close these floating palettes. Don't think I'll need them anymore. I want to group all of these objects together. So when I move it, so right now if I try and just move the Earth, just the circle moves, and that's a problem. So I'm going to solve it by grouping them together. Easiest way to group is to draw a square around your objects, and they'll all highlight at the exact same time. Right click, say grouping, group, and it now treats them as one object. So if I click anywhere on this Earth and drag, it'll move my entire Earth around. That is very, very handy for a lot of reasons. One main reason it's handy is I can now resize this as an entire group. So when you resize an object, the general rule of thumb is to always resize from one of the four corners of the object. If you go from the middle, of course, you end up with kind of an odd shape. So if you go from a corner, however, things can look better. But you can see I can still make it disproportional, so a little flat Earth. If you hold down the Shift key, again, that Shift key, while you're resizing, it keeps it all proportional. So the Shift key is used for proportion a lot. So you can see I can easily shrink that down, and my Earth looks as good small as it does large. This is one of the reasons why I wanted you to create the image as large as you can as well, because you can always shrink it down to make it suit your needs later on. So we're almost finished here, actually. Maybe I want to add a background and maybe a title on this slide and put a little bit of pizzazz and design on it, and I'm pretty much finished up. Let me shrink it down a little bit, slide it over. So to add a background, the way I like to add backgrounds is I use the rectangle tool, draw myself a rectangle, and then make that rectangle fill the entire slide. So I'm going to drag that down. I'm going to fill this rectangle in as black, and then I am going to right click on the rectangle, go to Order, and choose Send to Back because it's covering up my picture. And you can see my picture looks great on a black background. So that's how I would do backgrounds. Now I'm going to add a little word art in there. So I click on the word art button down on my drawing toolbar, get my word art gallery. Also, as a rule, I tend to always use this first word art. It's pretty basic, I know, but the nice thing about it is because it's basic, I can customize it to whatever I want later on. So there's my word Earth. Stretch that a little more to make it look a little better. And now down on my drawing toolbar, I can select colors again. So I guess I did need that. So I'm going to pull the color palette off the toolbar again. I'm actually going to pull the line palette off as well. So click on my word art to select it. I think I am going to make it blue with a white line around it. So there's my line color there. Now I can make my line around it a little bit thicker down here on my drawing toolbar as well. That looks pretty good. So let's take a look at what a finished one might actually look like. So close that, close that. You can see I also drew a moon, and I moved the Earth a little bit off the screen. So let's view this full screen and see what it looks like. Actually, the full screen's, you're not going to see it all. You're only going to see a portion of it, but you might be seeing enough of it to get the idea. It looks pretty good, right? So that's pretty much it. Now, I want to share some additional ideas with you. First is a tip. It can take some time to become proficient with these drawing tools. But it's time well spent because you can really customize what you're looking for. Another advantage is once you've drawn it, you don't have to draw it again. So once I've got it drawn and grouped, I can copy and paste my my image to other slides or between presentations. So once I've drawn it, I don't have to draw it again. So that's very, very helpful. And this gives you, the ability to create some great customizable instructional tools. And I can't possibly overstate the importance of that. Some final thoughts. You can, once you've drawn an image, you can save it as an image. So if I like my image here, just my image of the Earth, and I want to use it in other places, I can save it by going to File, Save As, and instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, I can go down here and I've got lots of image formats I can choose from. So you can see there's a GIF image, a JPEG, or a PNG. By saving it as one of those, I can then add it to a website, I can put it into a Word document, I can put it in another place, and that can be a great way to extend the usefulness of this tool. One final thing I want to show you is along those lines of once you've drawn it once, you can use it in other places. So you can see if I'm teaching my students about distances, space is quite large. I drew a sun here. I added the orbit ring around my moon, around the Earth. And this now becomes a great slide, which I could print as a poster, or I could simply project using an LCD projector. Building on that idea, I started to build the inner solar system, and here's another take on that as well. So I'm just reusing those same images, but you can see by custom creating that, I could now down here put the astronomical units of each one of the inner solar system distances out for students. I could print this again as a classroom poster, or I could teach my students how to do this, or the students could watch this video and they could create their own versions of something like this. So it can be a really great learning tool. So I hope you find this helpful, and I hope you give it a try.